Hello darlings, welcome back to my channel. My name is Coralie and today we're doing a ranking of all the Blend Bunny eyeshadow palettes in my collection. When I first suggested making this video in the video I uploaded last week, I was like, I probably have 8 or 9 Blend Bunny palettes, when in reality I have 12. So this ranking is definitely based on my current feelings right now, and I feel like it would change depending maybe on the season, depending on how I'm feeling, the shades that I want to use more in whatever period of time. Some of these palettes were sent to me by Blend Bunny. Most of these I purchased myself. I will be telling you which ones I purchased and which ones I got. The only eyeshadow palette by Blend Bunny that I don't have is the Trove Quad, which is a quad, so 4 eyeshadows that are all multi-chrome. So this is the only palette that I don't have. Other than that, I have every palette they've ever released, even some that are discontinued now. So I'm going to also try to mention which ones are discontinued so that you guys know which ones to get. I just want to say the Blend Bunny formula is amazing. Blend Bunny has my favorite mattes of my entire collection. They are literally some of my favorite palettes to work with ever. They have an amazing quality, and I swear I saw that a lot of people were wondering if influencers and content creators were blowing it up way more than they had to. And I'm telling you right now, if you've tried the Blend Bunny formula, I promise you we're not talking, we're not talking. This is literally a great formula. A lot of people can attest to that, and I think when a lot of people can attest to the quality of something, usually it means it's good quality. This is a ranking based purely on color story. So there's some color stories in there that I just don't gravitate towards, but these are palettes that I love using because the quality is great. So even though I don't gravitate towards them as much, if I'm going to use, for example, a super neutral palette, I'm gonna reach for the Blend Bunny ones. The first palette I have is the MBA Cosmetics Forget Me Not. This is a versatile eye and face palette. It has, what, 16 shades in it? 16 shades. This is what it looks like. These are the biggest pans that they have in an eyeshadow palette, but because it's a versatile eye and face palette, that makes sense to me. The only reason why this is going last is because it's literally just a neutral palette with neutral shades in it. That's it. It's not its fault. I really like the quality of this. I actually use this as bronzer a lot, and I love using this pink matte. I think it's so pretty. But yeah, as you can see, my favorite shade in the palette is literally the pink shade, the pink matte. So this is telling you how I feel about color, and I usually prefer things that are a little bit more colorful. So this one is going at the bottom, but I use it all the time for work, so who's laughing now? The next palette I have, this is a lot of people's favorite Blend Bunny palette. It's not personally mine, but this is the Blend Bunny, the Dollhouse. Forget Me Not was sent to me. This one I purchased with my own money. I really like the Dollhouse, which is why this ranking is so hard. I really like the Dollhouse. I think it's a fabulous color story. This is what it looks like. I love that these are neutrals, but colorful neutrals. You get some greens here, some pinks, some purples. You even have a blue shimmer in there. I really like this palette. I think this is definitely for people that prefer neutrals generally, but maybe want to try something a little bit more colorful. And the way it's laid out, again, with all Blend Bunny palettes, is very instinctual. So, you can pair looks really easily with it. I just don't reach for neutrals that much. And I need to reach for this palette for more of the shades that aren't neutrals. I admit that, and I definitely will. But yeah, this is a super pretty palette. It's a little neutral for me, so I don't necessarily reach for it all the time. Next palette we have is Sugar, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Anyways, they had a cease and desist situation, so this palette is discontinued, no longer for sale. This is a palette that I purchased with my own money, and this is what the color story looks like. I really like this color story. I really like it. I love how bright these pastels are. These tones are a little bit more muted. The only reason why I'm placing it lower is because I feel like a lot of people have that nostalgia with this palette because it's a 90s palette. I was born in 2001, so what the hell do I know about 90s? So I just don't feel the color story nostalgia that a lot of people feel. But I do really enjoy this palette, and I think it's really pretty, and I love using it. I really like the 24 pan palettes. I think it's so fun. And so I use this palette regularly. I love using it. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, it's a great palette. It's just the color story, other color stories from the brand appeal to me more, and I think that's the best way that I can possibly say it. This is the Primal palette by MBA Cosmetics. I purchased this with my own money, and this is currently discontinued. This is what this palette looks like. I love how bright this is. Now, for me, the one thing is that I feel like these shades should have been 2 pans wide, and like we should have had like a cream in between. Or maybe that's just me. But, you know, I love how big these are. I feel like this is definitely a palette you would reach into if you need like a white or a black when you're doing a look. I love these jewel tones. This is why it's higher, because I feel like this rainbow part, for me, this shade should have been a little bit more orangey, more peachier. But I just love the jewel tone shimmers, and I feel like a lot of people didn't like them. Or maybe that's just me like not recalling the information correctly. But I adore a jewel toned. I'm such a jewel toned girl, and I think it's just really cool that all these shimmers are like jewel toned. And honestly, another day this palette would probably have made it higher on the list, but you know, they do have 12 eyeshadow palettes, so a lot of the newer ones are really good. So, you know. Next we have Machina. I don't know if Machina is getting discontinued. I fear it might be, but it's currently on sale on their website. So if when I post this video it's still in stock, then I would highly suggest you get yourself Machina. Machina is great. Let me show you guys what it looks like. The packaging, first of all, is so beautiful, but look at this. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. I love how bright these 3 rows are and how muted those 3 are. This shimmer is insane. All these shimmers are like dual chrome, or at least have different like specks of glitter. This is really vivid, and it reminds me of Primal in that sense. But Primal is no longer available. This one is. So if you like something that's pretty bright, but not like too in your face, and the color story is really good on that one, I would highly suggest Machina. I really like it. I think it's beautiful, and I think it came out at a really interesting time. Like, we just kind of saw the surgence of like more developed AI, and then they come out with a palette called Machina. I feel like that's amazing timing. I don't know if Maggie planned it out, but next palette we have is Surge. This is the first palette I ever bought. Oh, Machina was sent to me, by the way, in PR. This is the first palette I ever bought from Blend Money, and I love her. Look at it. Look at it. I love the neon row. I love the neon row so much. I don't have neons like this in my collection anywhere else. So the reason why this palette is ranking so much higher, even though it's been discontinued, is because this is something I don't have anywhere else, and that adds a lot of value to it. Other than that, it was the first palette that I bought that I feel like had muted, colorful shades. A lot of the palettes that I had previous to this Blend Money palette were very bright, traditional rainbow palettes, whereas this one has more muted tones, as you can tell. I was really interested in that. I was like, oh my god. I will say, the shimmers are not the greatest, and I do believe that before she discontinued this, she did reformulate them once. The shimmers are not the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I mean, these palettes are matte heavy, so that fits my preference very well, and I will not complain. This is the newest palette by Blend Money Cosmetics. This is the Longing palette. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I hope you guys are enjoying the look. I really like this. It reminds me of like a coastal landscape. It reminds me of Bridgerton. Actually, like a lot of these tones are really, they're like more soft, more muted, but still carry intensity. I mean, this look is not like, you know, it's not subtle per se. The look I did yesterday was not subtle either. And a few of these shimmers have like dual chrome flecks in them. I think this one too. So it's like really cool. I feel like Blend Money has truly been working on their shimmers, which is something I really like. And the quality is great. I love how dusty these tones are. It's really beautiful, and they did such a good job with this. This is why it's ranking so high. Also, it does have the new factor, which makes me like, you know, really excited about it, which is why it's ranking high. But you know, there's still a few palettes ahead of it, right? She hasn't had time yet to completely seduce me, but she is definitely seducing me. Next is literally my favorite palette of all time. This is the Blend Money Cosmetics All Done Up. This is the best neutral palette in the world. This is my favorite neutral palette. I've traveled with this literally like 4 times. 3 times, 3 or 4 times. This is my favorite travel palette because it's like neutral, but you get so many different tones of neutrals, and I just feel like it's so beautiful. The super pastels, the midtones, and the really dark. And these shimmers are some of the best shimmers Blend Money has ever done. They are super sparkly, super glam, and so they look absolutely stunning. This one is a duochrome here, so that's even better. And so I feel like you get everything you need for like a neutral moment. So love her. She's great. All Done Up is actually ranking really high as a neutral palette because it's my favorite. I have a special place in my heart for Lore because I love mermaid stuff. Like anything that's mermaid, count me in. Okay, this was also, was this the first 24 pen palette they did? Oof, I don't know. I don't remember. But these are my favorite eyeshadow tones. Pinks, purples, blues, and greens. So I was like, this is the perfect palette for me. I purchased this with my own money, by the way. All Done Up also was purchased with my own money. So this is just such a pretty palette. It reminds me of The Little Mermaid, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, the one with Halle in it. I mean, even the animated version was like one of my favorite movies of all time, but you know what I mean? I love The Little Mermaid. I love anything that has to do with mermaid. I love reading mermaid books, siren books, anything that relates to that. So this palette is like, the color story is amazing. It's perfect. I love using these shades. Every time I use Lore, I feel like the baddest in the black. Okay, I love this palette. Literally, I love her. She's great. She's amazing. God bless her. Next one. These two are going to kind of be at the same level. You're going to understand why. This is Blends. This is the first palette Blend Money ever released. I purchased this one with my own money as well. Look at it. Look at it. This is the perfect quintessential rainbow palette. It's a all matte eyeshadow palette, which I love matte heavy stuff. Like, I know some people in the indie space prefer the shinier, like shifty stuff, and I love the shinier shifty stuff as well, but a matte eyeshadow palette to me is like how life should be. I love matte eyeshadow palettes. I love the full range of the rainbow. I love pastels, midtones, dark shades. This palette, every time you're missing a shade for a look, it is probably in this palette, especially for like someone that likes more bright stuff. I'm so in love with this. It's actually like, I have such big dips in like the purple and the yellow, but yeah, this is such a beautiful, beautiful palette. This is an essential in my collection. Like, I could not not have this in my collection. And they collaborated with the ever so stunning, talented, beautiful, great Ellis Atlantis on this palette. This is a 45 pen palette. Look at it. It's so pretty. This palette, yeah, as you can see, super matte heavy. This is 40 matte eyeshadow shades with 5 shimmers in the center. I love stuff like this. I know a lot of people don't like big palettes. I love a big palette because I'll literally just lay it on my desk, which you can't see, but I'll lay it on my desk, and I love dipping into shadows like I'm a painter. So clearly, this is one of my favorite things ever. I love that the shimmers are iridescent for the most part, so like you can create a shade literally out of nothing, right? A lot of people didn't like how big this was. If you don't like how big this is, go for the blends. It's smaller and it has like, you know, a great rainbow thing. This one has an even greater rainbow, which if you can't tell, I love rainbows. I love colorful stuff. So this one is definitely ranking super duper high, and the packaging is insane. This was sent to me in PR, by the way. Sent to me in PR. And last but most definitely not least, my top ranking Blend Money palette is Sickly Sweet. I love pastels. You guys know this if you've seen my ranking. I love pastels. This palette is like, it's my most used Blend Money palette, I think. Except for Blends. Blends is my most used, but this one is my second most used. I love pastels, and I love that this pastels palette has a few deeper shades because it makes it like more, I don't know, it makes it less like, oh my god, I have to only do super bright pastel looks with it. It can make it a little bit more approachable. I love the shimmers in this. A lot of the shimmers in this are also duochrome. Like, I'm pretty sure most of these are. This one is not, but it's super wet looking on the eyelids, and I literally get so many compliments when I wear this Blend Money palette, and I feel like you can do so many things, especially for work. I feel like this is a great palette for me for work, which maybe is counterintuitive, But if you don't want to put too much color and like colorful makeup at work, pastels are like a great alternative to that, I would say. Personally, that's how I feel. This is one of my favorite palettes ever. I love this so, so much, and I think it's so stunning and it's so beautiful, and I literally feel like I'm gonna get so many pans in this palette in the future. But as you can see, there's no pans in any palette because the 12 Blend Money eyeshadow palettes I have are not the only palettes I have. This one was sent to me in PR. I feel like every brand of eyeshadow palette that I own, my favorite palette from them is always the pastel palette. Glaminatrix Cosmetics, I'm looking at you as well. I really like pastels. They are my favorite like color in real life, so you know, it would make sense that they would also be in makeup. This is the stack. This is the eyeshadow palette stack. This is the ranking. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me how you feel. Do you guys own any of these? If you own a few Blend Money eyeshadow palettes, feel free to tell me which one is your favorite. I don't judge. My favorite is Sickly Sweet. Sickly Sweet will always be my main recommendation for them. Sickly Sweet and blends, because I feel like those are the bases. Also all done up, I guess. But I just really truly love all my Blend Money eyeshadow palettes. I use at least, I would say, one Blend Money palette a week. I hope you enjoyed. I literally rambled so much. I don't think it's possible to talk more than like how much I talked. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media, such as Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you subscribe here because there's quite a few things to be seen and quite a few things to be done. So on that note, I will let you go, and I will see you next week. If you're nice. If you're not nice, I'm not seeing you.